I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I like my money. I'm kind of pro-gun.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
I'm gonna go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's gonna happen on Saturday.
Welcome to this week's edition of the MMA Analysis podcast. It's been a while. It has been 3 weeks since our last show, but we're back. We got a big one. I'm Brad Taschuk. I'm your host, joined as always by Cal Ripken of this podcast, Jace Primetown. Jay, how's it going?
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it, Brad. I'm definitely the longest tenured member of the show. Because the one who should not be named, never shows up for work. So be it. Good to be back. It's been a long week already, but we got the best fight card. I know, and it's been long. So we got the best fight card of the year on paper thus far to talk about. So that's a good thing, and Saturday can't come soon enough.
Jay, I have a bone to pick with Sirius. They got rid of the associate service program, or the service plan. I can't get free Sirius anymore.
Wait, you had free Sirius?
Yeah.
How'd you get that?
It was called the associate service plan. So because of the company that I worked for, all I had to do was answer like a 5-question quiz every 3 or 4 months. And you got I got free Sirius for a few months.
That is interesting.
Yeah, but it's
I've never heard of that. Is that a Canadian thing, or is that a...
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So you had that through the online? Was it online only, or did you have a device?
Through my car.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's all your fault, Jay.
I'm not employed by them, but okay.
I know you do like sales and stuff for some of their shows, so
buying, yes.
Whatever. Buying, selling.
The opposite.
Money changed hands is,
exchange.
There were transactions that happened in regards to Sirius.
So what they say, it's no longer available, or you just tried it and that didn't happen?
No, it's not in existence anymore. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But pass it up on the line. Fix my problem
Brad,
for me. Right?
Brad, I'll put some balls.
All right.
He wants free shit.
I get it. He wants free audio. That's
exactly.
Fine.
But I'm, I got to stick to my people's roots. I want stuff as cheap as I can get it.
I mean, paying for audio seems like a weird thing to do.
Yeah, it's 2017. Come on.
Yeah, I get it. People do. It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyways, we were also joined by, in Ontario, with all the rest of us mooks, Nushan. Nushan, how's it going?
Pretty good. Just hanging out right beside Lake Huron. Gonna go check out some nuclear power plant tomorrow. So
where the hell is that?
Go another note.
Are you in Thunder Bay?
No, not even close to Thunder Bay.
That's Superior, Jay.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez.
It's hard for me to keep track of all my Canadian, second or third tier cities. Sorry.
All of
Lake Huron
all of the lakes are part of the U.S.
You son of a bitch.
Not the stupid Canadian mook towns that are on the northern part of it.
This is not northern. It's eastern.
Same shit.
No.
Have you never been to Michigan, Jay?
A couple times.
Lake Huron is basically all of Michigan.
You're not in Windsor, are you?
He's close to Windsor.
Yeah, I guess.
Just so that we don't confuse your feeble American brain, Jay.
God damn.
He's
you guys take geography?
Yes, but you actually think what do you think there's we take classes of Canadian history?
Well, you should fucking know where Lake Huron is. It's in part of your goddamn country.
That would be a smaller, the Canadian cities that are on Lake Huron? Absolutely not. That'd be a smaller book than Jewish athletes. Come on.
Yeah, but you don't even know where Lake Huron is.
Yes, I do.
Where is it?
Well,
It's west of Lake Ontario, west of Lake Erie.
It's up there by them big ass lakes somewhere.
There we go.
There's 5 big ass lakes. You know
It's one of them.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, good stuff. So,
Yeah, I'm doing good. You know, it's fucking hockey, Game 7 tomorrow. I'm going to be losing my shit. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be crazy. I know, I don't know if you guys are going to be watching. I don't know if you got shit to do tomorrow, but there's going to be 2 Game 7s tomorrow, and they're going to be pretty epic. There's nothing like Game 7 in the NHL playoffs.
2 Game 7s in hockey. Play-in game for my NCAA lacrosse tournament.
What do you mean for your lacrosse tournament?
What?
Oh, okay.
It's
Brad owns it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, you might as well at this point. The only one who cares about it.
Hey, you guys care about it in
I
terms
care.
of making money.
Matriculation.
Matriculation.
Right. And we are also joined by Wesley Colvin, the non-mookish American on the show.
Yeah, down here now, if you got that pre-existing condition of mookness, which runs pretty heavy down these parts, you're pretty fucked now. So maybe we can get some of these mooks out of here. It helped. Yeah, it's fun to be back, dude. It's been a while. I think the last card Nashville. Was that the one I was at?
I think so.
Did we have
crazy?
Yeah, it's been so long. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, good to be back, man. Great card too, man. It's like Jay said. That's one of the best. This on paper is one of the best cards they've done in years, I think. So, yeah, really looking forward to it, man.
Yep, definitely. So, as it's been so long, we're not going to do a recap of the last card that we talked about or anything like that, but I personally haven't been paying attention to any MMA news. I'm not sure if you guys have, but if you have and there's anything you want to talk about, now's the time. Jay?
Hey, Brad, did you hear that fight they booked for the Long Island card?
No.
Oh.
It is Jimmy Rivera, the New Jersey native, against one of your favorite fighters ever. Maybe your favorite Brazilian fighter outside of Jose Aldo.
Ooh.
Yes, Tommy Almeida.
Oh, I was going to say, why is Jimmy Rivera moving up to welterweight to face Damian Maia?
I
don't think that would go too well for him.
So, Brad, that's the thing.
That's a good fight.
That's
a really good fight.
I'll watch that fight.
That'll be a gun show, and yeah, I assume that's going to be on Big Fox. I mean, in some capacity.
Yeah.
Is that a Big Fox card? That Long Island card?
I believe so. Yeah.
They're trying to get Gagey on there too.
They were talking about Justin Gaethje.
I was just looking at Gagey and Johnson.
Yeah.
That could be a firefight too.
Not too shabby. Any other news that you wanted to point out or fight announcements, anything like that, Sean?
No. Jack shit's been going on.
Did you hear about? There's a Brazilian fighter who got suspended twice, the second time now for stories in the UFC. Now he's got a 4-year suspension.
Yeah, but he retired already. That's not Bobby Abreu. That's Philadelphia Philly.
But what else are you gonna do? 4 years? He's that's forever.
It's a lifetime ban, pretty much.
I've never even heard that. Ricardo Abreu.
Yeah, okay.
Fighter. Yeah, you remember him. That's 4 years, a long time.
Yeah.
Don't get popped twice, then.
And that is a long time for anything. I mean, the Diaz boys have been found for weed how many times now? It's a PED, right?
Wasn't Abreu some jiu-jitsu guy anyways, so he'll just go and do jiu-jitsu stuff?
Probably.
Yeah, I know. Does anyone think like jiu-jitsu's like legitimately can be a money-making endeavor?
No.
Only people
like as a person or as like a company?
Only people that
sure
are in
there's
MMA's weird little MMA bubble think jiu-jitsu is something that people like.
I mean, there is a decent amount of people that seem to like do potential training in it and stuff. I mean, I get that, but like people do CrossFit. Nobody wants to watch it on fucking TV.
Yeah.
Isn't it on TV?
Oh, yeah.
ESPN fucking
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay. I mean, if I see it, I'm like, oh. I mean, I'll flip through a glance a second to see.
Why would I want to watch CrossFit when I can watch people who are actually athletes do actual sports?
Yeah.
Like, that's what CrossFit is. It's sports sports quotation
training?
marks for people that can't do sports.
But Brad, at the same time, if you're gonna watch that, you might as well just like watch some like rerun of World's Strongest Man,
I
which
was
is
just
like
gonna
so
say,
much
I'd rather
cool.
watch Bill Kazmaier win the World's Strongest Man in 1972.
Him or like see Lou Ferrigno like bend a piece of metal behind his neck.
That's way more entertaining.
And who was the other guy that? Oh, there's so many. Peralta. There was like former WWF guys at that point. Yeah, they're like I love those. Like that stuff is great. Like I can picture that in like 15 years they're gonna have remember like Extreme Elimination Challenge, that show when they used to dub over.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was so awesome.
I've got that on my computer, actually.
Yeah, they're totally gonna do that for World's Strongest Man episode at some point in time. It's gonna be so good. Like, oh my god, it's the Incredible Hulk and he's bending a piece of metal.
Dick Romano and Kenny Blankenship on the call.
Oh,
Damn
so
right.
good.
Damn.
I used to watch that for hours on Spike.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah, they had some classics. Oh, those were the days.
Anyways, sorry,
Janelle.
Wes. I'll give you a chance if there's any announcements or anything that caught your attention, other than the ones we've already talked about.
Yeah, I think that Baby McNutty defends a title before his daddy does. How about that?
That's a pretty good one.
Mr. Connor Jack.
Oh, jeez.
He'll be fighting before Connor defends his title.
Do you guys buy into this bullshit about Dana saying that the boxing gods stole their date for that McGregor Mayweather fight?
You answered your own question. You said, "Do you believe Dana?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just some bullshit. That shit ain't happening.
I agree. I think they're scapegoating. Just they didn't even lock down the date. They said, we can't do this. You could have the date.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Triple G Canelo isn't even guaranteed to be in. I mean, obviously we think it's going to be in Vegas, but they haven't even for sure.
Texas.
They'll sell a
They already
site.
said it's going to be at T-Mobile.
They'll sell a site fee to that, but Vegas is going to offer them the most money. They always do.
They already said, I think it's going to be a T-Mobile arena.
Are they going to make more money in Vegas, or are they going to make more money filling up Cowboy Stadium?
Well, you'd be surprised. Because you could just charge like 10 times more for a ticket in Vegas than you can anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's true.
I think that's going to be a pretty huge fight. They're saying tonight that Canelo fucking Chavez did over 1 million, might be almost 2. That's incredible.
Wow.
That's a boxing number I ain't seen since the Floyd Pack. I mean, that's a really good number, and I'm telling you, Canelo and Triple G is going to do a huge number. That's going to be one of the biggest fights in a long time.
Did they announce what the gate was for that fight? Because I just saw it's got to be big, because Nate Diaz, he was at the fight and he showed his ticket, and his ticket was $1,500.
Yeah, dude.
And I don't think it was
a
like
huge
an
fight.
amazing tickets either.
I'm telling you, it was probably like $10 million gate.
Big boxing fights bring out money like nothing else. I mean, it's still that way. When it's a big fight, though, that's just the problem.
Yeah, it's just they're few and far between, right?
Yeah. Well, when you do have them, there's nothing bigger. That's a big number for a
Boxing's always done
match.
this thing with they've really kind of found that date that the Cinco de Mayo weekend, the Saturday of Cinco de Mayo as as Boxing's Day,
Yep.
Yeah, they do that, and then the September day too is it's like Mexican Independence Day or something like that, or another Mexican holiday. I think there's one in May and then another holiday in September or something. That's big.
Because that's always when Floyd fights, right?
That's always when Floyd or Oscar De La Hoya would fight. All of them, Canelo fights on those days.
That's they figure it out. I get it.
That's why I think Dana tried to kind of come out with that bullshit they stole our date and should not. Shut up, you never had a date,
I mean, I don't get that whole thing. I mean, yeah, exactly. They can't, if you already had the date booked, they can't just say, well, actually, you don't have it anymore. It doesn't work that way. You have contracts for a reason.
It was smart business.
Since the UFC is supposed to have this deal with T-Mobile Arena where
they have to do so many dates a year, right?
Yeah, and they're supposed to be the prime resident or something like that.
Outside of the hockey team, right? It's going to be doing 40 dates a year. Right.
I think it was just good business by McGregor and Floyd and Dana and them to an extent. Just But how long's Connor been gone with having a baby, and how long's he going to be gone? Their names have been like in the news. I mean, they're writing articles about his car and shit getting towed and shit. You know,
Him being up in a tree.
Yeah, well, that's newsworthy. Give me all of that you can give me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of shit I'll click on. Give me Connor totally tweaking out fucking treehouse.
Connor, yeah.
Yeah, give me fucking tweaked out Connor in a treehouse, and I will click on that shit in a heartbeat.
Because I think UFC is supposed to have announced, to have some sort of press conference this week, for that pay-per-view card, the one in July. So they're going to have to announce who's main eventing this damn thing. Because it still seems like it's totally up in the air.
I would think Connor gets back sometime towards fall or something like that.
MSG maybe.
You got to think he's running around getting fucking bloated right now. You got to think he's out of shape. Like,
so who's going to fight in July then?
Yeah, who's going to be fight on that big card for fight?
Was that International Fight Week? Because I don't think that Bisping thing's happening in July.
No, that's going to be October or something now.
No, after that. He's probably going to fight at MSG.
It's unbelievable. Gone out of this.
And they want to fight in Anaheim in end of July.
Yeah,
I think that's when that card is.
July 29th.
So who the fuck is going to...
You still got a Bones DC fight that you can put somewhere.
That's going to be July 29th, maybe. I just talk about that.
What a cluster this sport is right now.
It's just a shit show.
Yeah, the new ownership, man, just changing the game.
Flying by the seat of their pants. They have no fucking idea what they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, it's going to be
Well, I mean, I guess they got the Garbrandt. They got the Garbrandt Dillashaw fight. I mean, it's a good fight, but I mean, it's not...
That, I don't think that's a pay-per-view.
That's not headline in International Fight Week.
No.
Unless you want to sell $300K.
Yeah, I know. So
that would be embarrassing if that's
what
they sold for their big weekend.
Like the Friday card headline. That's the Friday fight card main event type shit.
Yeah.
They're going to have to bring back Chuck Liddell if they want to sell some tickets.
I mean, maybe that does happen. I mean, would it be a complete surprise? Would it be a complete surprise?
He's fighting for Bellator for sure. He doesn't like what they did to him. He's not coming back to UFC after they cut off his fucking payday.
How mad was he when he came out of that coke stupor and was like, I ain't getting them checks no more? What the fuck?
I don't see it, man. I don't think Dana would let that happen. I honestly believe that.
I don't think Dana has much say anymore. He does. What's going on.
Yep. He has no fucking choice in those business decisions like that anymore.
Yeah.
Matt Hughes and Chuck Liddell coming to a Bellator card near you.
I get giving, Chuck kind of that lifetime contract and throw him a little money to make some appearances and shit every now and then. I wouldn't be mad about that, but you can't expect new owners to come in and start honoring all that shit, Yeah. They don't know fucking
especially guys that understand money.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're not just going to give this guy...
scored. Bingo.
We're not going to give this guy money to do nothing? Shit, alright.
Dana's like, he comes to fights, he sits there all coked up and, makes crazy punching movements and shit.
Oh, that was a classic.
Sells itself.
All right.
It's good shit. Chuck gnawing on his jaw, throwing punches.
One of the greatest MMA GIFs of all time, whatever the fuck they're called. Anyways, we got 14 fights to talk about, so let's
guaranteed 2 of these are not going to happen for fucking injuries / weigh-in issues, guaranteed.
Yeah. I'm going to guess.
The 2 title fights.
Is the over-under 1.5?
Oh yeah, on drop. Oh yeah, it's probably going to be like an underdog plus over 1.5, but still.
Yeah, over 1.5 plus 130.
Yeah,
that's what I set the line at for how many fights aren't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we're going to kick it off in the Fight Pass prelims, light heavyweight division. We have the Great Dane, Joachim Christensen, against Gadjimurad Antigulov.
Gads.
Jay?
Gads.
Gads murder.
Gads. We'll start this off. Got Antagulov a C-, the Dane a D. I actually kind of like, is it Joaquim or Joaquim, Brad?
I think Joaquim would be Brazilian. So
okay, you're
Joaquim.
valid. Yeah, that's a good point. So I kind of like Joachim Christensen in general. I think he's a fairly smart fighter, but he's like 38 or 39 years old already. He fights fairly smart. He's got a good gas tank. But just, athleticism, and there's clearly, at this age, there's no real upside at all. Antagulov's a goddamn tank, though. And he's dangerous. I mean, Rogerio de Lima is one of the weirder fighters, period, but that victory was definitely something different. I'll say that. He's a pretty scary dude in the cage. And I think he's set up for a victory here over, Christensen. I guess I don't really understand the matchmaking because I think it's kind of, he kind of went down in terms of the caliber opponent, but it is what it is. Give him another win, then give him another knockout, and then, I guess build him up.
Sean?
Yeah, it is kind of weird matchmaking, but I guess, like Jay said, they're probably just building him up. Lucky me, I'm in Canada, so I can bet at Will Hill, and he's still minus 345. So if I really wanted to, I'm a sharp, so you got to get the lowest number you can get on that guy.
Watch it all day too.
That's right.
Make sure you got the best of it.
I mean, he's minus 400 at dime, so looks like there's lots of value at the Will Hill number. But I'm not going to bet him. I'm just going to pick him.
I think you should go to Sportsbook and bet it at minus 450. That'd be Shrap. Wes?
Yeah, I don't have too much to say on this one. I'm going to go with the Gads. Even though that fucking De Lima win, I'm still mad about that shit. Still really mad. I was looking at the over, too. I think this is almost, this is approaching Fatty's range. They're not quite there, but they're almost there. So, looking at the over, I thought the Gats against Lima was close to going over or getting to that point, making it to the next round if, De Lima didn't do that dumb shit and put himself in a stupid ass choke. So, I could see him, laying on Christian, getting it over there. So, might take a look at the over.
Yeah, I do not understand this line at all. I don't know what Gads has done to warrant being a minus 400 favorite in any fight in the UFC. Because if you look back at his regional stuff, he's sloppy as fuck. He's fighting terrible fighters, but getting rid of most of them pretty early, but that's just because physically he's much better than them. So when he's got a guy who's durable like Christensen, who's going to stick around, I'm kind of interested what's going to happen. So I see these people laying minus 400 on this. I don't get it at all. Doesn't make sense to me. If anything, if it keeps going that way, I might take a little shot on Christensen. Right now, plus 325. But, I think this is just going to be a pass for me. Definitely not laying that kind of juice on some essentially unproven guy. Next up, featherweight division. Couple of Mexicans. Gabriel Benitez taking on Enrique Barzola. Jay?
It's pretty ignorant, Brad. That guy's from Peru. He's not Mexican.
They're Mexicans. They might even be Dominican.
Same thing, huh?
I got Barzola a D+, Gabriel Benitez a C-. What's interesting here is that the caliber of competition these guys have faced is quite a bit different. Barzola has a victory over Avila and Henry Gutierrez and lost arguably to Kyle Bochniak, while Benitez's last 4 fights are Randy Brown, Clay Collard, Andre Feely, his lone loss, and then Sam Sicilia. So one has faced, some veterans, some higher caliber fighters than the other guy. And with that said, their striking stats are actually very similar still. So Benitez has been able to do pretty much the same level of output and same kind of striking defense against that caliber of competition versus Barzola, who's faced much lower skill set. I like Benitez's fight IQ as well. I think he's a pretty smart fighter, all things considered. He usually has a pretty solid game plan. The only thing he's got to watch out for here is the takedowns. Barzola definitely attempts a lot of takedowns, and we'll make that we'll try to make that a focal point of this fight. But I think Benitez is good enough to defend for the most part, and then get the better of the striking exchanges against a fighter who I think is a relative novice compared to him. So I like Gabriel Benitez in this fight, and I think he's a deserving favorite. It probably should be, somewhere in the neighborhood of minus 225 here. So getting him another minus 200 is something I liked, something I bet. So I have a bet on Gabriel Benitez in this bout.
Sean, which of these Mexicans do you like?
Well, neither of them, because they're Mexicans, Brad. Come on now. Mexicans can't fight unless they're boxing.
Why are you so anti-NAFTA than you, Sean?
I'm anti everybody other than Canada, really.
Uh-huh.
A D plus for Barzola, Jay? He just beat Chris Avila. That's all you get for beating Chris Avila?
And what else would you deserve?
Yeah, a D plus is pretty legit after you beat an F minus, so I think that's pretty spot on. Yeah, I've kind of been down on Gabriel Benitez. I didn't think he was that good. Fairly impressive win against Sam Sicilia, but I think that's kind of more to where Sam Sicilia is at his career at this point. Yeah, Barzola is just not very good. I think Jay is on the right track. I haven't bet Benitez, but I will definitely pick him.
Wes?
Yeah, I was kind of like Sean. I didn't think too much of Benitez, but yeah, the same. I think the Sicilian win is fairly decent. Sam's on, that chin is fucked, but he's a tough guy, skilled guy, but man, Barzola just hasn't really done shit as far as quality of opponent. Like Sean said, F minus. That cat is one of the worst fighters I've ever seen. I don't know. Barzola's tough though, man. He's a really tough dude. I kind of look more at the over. It's gotten up there a little bit now though, but I can see this fight going 3 rounds for sure. Pick's gonna be Benitez, but I haven't bet anything on this fight yet. Not sure if I'm going to.
Yeah, I like Benitez as well. I think he wins the decision here. As Wes said, Barzola's tough, but Benitez has faced way better competition and performed better against that competition. So I think that he basically just sort of kicks the shit out of Barzola for 15 minutes and proves his Mexican superiority. Next up, heavyweight division, we got the Vanilla Gorilla, Chase Sherman, against the Chocolate Gorilla, Rashad Coulter.
Yeah.
Is that racist?
Maybe
his nickname is
maybe
the
caramel.
Daywalker or some
Maybe the
nonsense.
caramel.
Yeah, it's Daywalker.
That's dumb.
That's
He's
pretty
not.
hot
He's not
nickname.
Wesley Pipes.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Jay, what you got here?
I got Chase Sherman at D minus, Rashad Coulter an F. Yeah, so I guess my reasoning on Coulter is he's 35 years old. His competition is so limited. I think the best fighter he's ever fought at a 4-2 record.
Man,
Okay.
he's a heavyweight prospect. 35,
Mm-hmm.
pretty young, man.
He has a boxing background. Trained in boxing for quite a bit of time. That's really his skill set. But he doesn't have the length, doesn't have the athleticism that Justin Ledet had. So, he's kind of like a worse version of Justin Ledet. And he's never been outside the first round. And just his body shape, it just doesn't look like he's a guy who's going to be able to have much of anything beyond the first 3 minutes of a fight. Chase Sherman certainly, he's not going to light the world on fire, but he's 8 years younger than Rashad Coulter. He's 4 inches taller. A lot more variety in his game. Uses kicks where Coulter doesn't know what a kick is. Sherman is definitely proven to be pretty durable. And he can go outside the first round too. So, those are the reasons why I like Chase Sherman this bout. There's just a lot more tools in the war chest, so to speak, and durability is a factor. I think this fight actually goes beyond the first round, and I think Coulter's going to slow down, and Chase Sherman takes over the fight. So I like Chase Sherman in this bout. But man, this is this is low level heavyweight, and if there's anything more unpredictable than low level heavyweight in the UFC, I'd like to hear what it is.
My favorite technique of Chase Sherman's is the one where he blocks punches with his face. He's good at that one.
I should say that Rashad Coulter's only loss was getting Kimura while in top control.
Nice. Maybe we'll see some key lock action here. I'd be alright with that.
Key lock win. Oh, those were the days.
Sean, what you got?
Why is Chase Sherman still in the UFC? Couldn't they fill...
Because they've got 12 heavyweights on the roster. Is he ranked?
I know.
He might be ranked, right?
Loses to Ledet, gets absolutely knocked the fuck out by Walt Harris. Well, it's just why. Couldn't they fill these cards with funner, smaller fighters?
Or just not put 14 fights on this card?
That as well. It's not like he's from Mississippi. He's not even from where this is taking place. Just why?
Oh, we haven't even talked about that. This is in Texas. There's going to be some shit that's going to go down on this card.
I mean,
Texas is the worst.
It is East Texas.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, I just don't give a fuck about this fight at all.
Cool. Wes?
That's fair.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with a lot of what Jay said. I'm going to pick Sherman in the fight, but I'm looking for every angle possible to talk myself into betting Fatty's going to fatty here.
Yeah.
It's just, man, Coulter hasn't been out of the first round ever. Sherman's getting his head knocked off and shit. I'll probably end up talking myself into it. I see that plus money there, and I might throw a little bit on some Fatty's going to fatty, but, yeah, Sherman's the pick. I can't bet a side in this fight.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way as Wes. I could see this going over 1.5 and getting some fatties going on just because Coulter might punch Sherman in the face a whole lot at the start of the fight and then gas out. And Sherman will tap him with a key lock or something like that, even though he doesn't even know that you can grapple in MMA. So this is going to be a terrible fight, and I don't really care to watch it or talk about it anymore. Next up, featherweight division, 2 debuting fighters, Flash Gordon and Michel Quinones. Jay, we're Mexicans. Well, one Mexican.
Yeah.
And Flash Gordon.
Yeah, I don't have rankings on these guys yet. You can check those out later this week. MMAOddsbreaker.com. The one really frustrating thing about Jared Gordon is that he fought primarily for CFFC, and their fights are pretty much hard as hell to find because I think they're under a paywall.
Yeah.
So if you it's pretty annoying. For a regional org, it has to be under a paywall. I mean, give me a fucking break. It's a joke. And makes it difficult to find tape on a guy like that. But fighters that come out of that organization usually have a pretty good pedigree and usually do pretty well in the UFC once they make it there. And he's fighting Michel Quinones, who's fought once in Titan. Pretty decent record, but again, Mexican fighter. Usually poor takedown defense. I guess I am, just generalizing, but that's something I would expect. And the CFFC guys usually, pretty well rounded. So, I mean, just my initial thoughts would be to lean towards Gordon, but I'll have more info at a later date.
Was your breakdown of Titan fighters is that they're generally boring and always go to decision?
I mean, that is pretty fair. I mean, yeah.
Sean, do you think that Sam Jones takes down Emperor Ming here?
Emperor Ming? Probably. He's Mexican. Come on now.
I don't know how they didn't book a guy whose name is Flash Gordon against a Chinese fighter. How does that not happen? What's wrong with these people?
They need you on the payroll, Brad.
This shit just books itself.
You'd think that, but I mean, the UFC just keeps getting in its own way. They can't. They need some better writers like you on the payroll.
Would have not have let this happen.
Yeah, I mean, he gave us bang cunts. I mean, he knows what the hell he's doing.
He gave us Superman Doomsday. No, Joe Sullivan knew his shit.
Yeah. Not so much with the new guys. Yeah, this is another one of the fights where I can not care. 2 debuting fighters, one guy you can't find anything on. And the other guys was a pretty boring fight in Titan, his last fight. I don't know. I'll flip a coin.
Cool.
That's good enough.
Wes?
Yeah, I honestly have no idea here. I'll probably take the underdog and Toutmaster. That's about all I got.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Flash Gordon as a pick and a Toutmaster pick. I mean, I haven't seen enough of either guy to really have a good handle on this fight, which is kind of crazy to say about 2 guys fighting in the UFC in 2017. So we will move on. Next up, strawweight division, we have Jessica Aguilar taking on Courtney Casey. Jay, why is Courtney Casey missing a U from her name?
Oh yeah,
Where'd
forgot
it go?
about that. Yeah, I've never seen it spelled that way until, well, the UFC, because things happen there. Just like Johnny Hendricks only has one N.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's funny
weird.
because I started calling him 1H, and then other people started calling him 1H by accident.
That's great. Yeah, I got Courtney Casey a C+, Jessica Aguilar a B-. I mean, Casey's, she's she can get in top control. She's pretty dangerous. She's pretty vicious from that position. But her problem is takedown defense and ability to defend takedowns against good wrestlers. That has proven to be her kryptonite over the years, and she's facing one of the better wrestlers in the division. I guess what this fight comes down to is, 1, Jessica Aguilar's been out for a while, and 2, just how diminished she is now that she's not taking estrogen blockers, whatever she potentially was on, during her run in World Series fighting. I guess, disclaimer, I have no proof, but, yeah.
Fraud.
I am fraud. Fraud. Yeah, that is fraudulent. But I'm going to take Jessica Aguilar based on what I know, and that is that she is certainly capable of taking Courtney Casey to the ground. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be super confident betting this just because of those other factors, and PEDs really could have been a factor in her success previously.
Sean?
Yeah, this is definitely going over. I was asleep at the wheel. I didn't bet it early on when it was like minus 230, and then it moved to minus 245, and then I just didn't pull the trigger, and now it's minus 265. And it's actually priced itself out of my range. If it bounces back, I know.
There's an out of your range when it comes to women's overs?
I know. There shouldn't be, but if it bounces back a little bit, I'll probably stab. Like Jay said, I think skill-wise, Aguilar should win, but being out so long, tearing her knee up, it's hard to know what she's going to be able to do getting back in there, but I will pick her.
Wes, do you remember the show Jag?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Do you remember Catherine Bell, who was like the chick on that show? She was
Got married to what's his face? Started on
Graham Bell?
Now we know why he invented all that shit, right? That was
exactly. He had
that he was
inspiration.
having. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm thinking about this the same as Jay on this one too. If it wasn't for almost 2-year layoff and the surgery and everything, I'd be betting on Aguilar here as a dog. The line still just doesn't seem right to me. I mean, Casey gets taken down by some of the worst fighters we've seen. I just don't see how Aguilar can't get takedowns in this fight. If she can win this fight. I'll probably take a stab at the plus 110 I like the over a lot too. Like Sean said, this fight's going 3 rounds. I'll definitely be putting that in a parlay for sure. So yeah, Aguilar, and definitely be betting the over.
Catherine Bell would still get it for sure.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, aged well.
Yep. As far as this fight goes, just because Catherine Bell was on Jag, I'm going to pick Jessica Aguilar. And I think she wins a decision because Courtney Casey got out-wrestled by Joanne Calderwood. So I feel like someone who can actually wrestle can probably out-wrestle her as well. Also, you get an extra 60 cents on Aguilar by decision, and she doesn't stop anybody. So an Aguilar decision's plus 167. If you're going to play her, I think that's enough extra value to actually push me to throw a little bet on her. But that's just me. Next up, FX prelims. Ooh, FX. Fancy.
Ooh.
Lightweight division, we got Marco Polo, Netflix star, against James Vick.
Why is it on FX? What the hell's going on with FS1 right now?
What's going on?
The prelims are on FX.
Yeah,
I think
why?
that happens sometimes for the bigger pay-per-view.
No, the race is Saturday night.
Oh,
the
NASCAR takes
Monster Cup
precedence.
Series.
NASCAR's got priority over UFC.
They outdraw them.
prelims, they
They
definitely
outdraw them
should.
by about 4 or 5 to 1.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the Monster Cup races, definitely triple the
3 or 4 times.
the prelims. Yeah, I would say so.
Sure.
That's fair. I mean, let's not hate on motorsports now.
We all got the FX. Hey, more people got FX than they actually have fucking FS1 and shit. So
yeah, FX1.
better for
Epic's a
everybody.
bigger channel, man. Look at the content they got on that beast these days. I mean, come on.
It's all on the exact same channel for us, Sean. So.
Yep. I don't give a fuck.
Okay. Well, sucks to you guys.
What are you
We
talking
talking-
about? It's so much
we
easier.
No, they don't have to worry about it. It's good to be them guys.
Which fight are we talking about now? We talking about Marco Polo,
Marco Polo
and
and the Texecutioner.
yeah. I know. I got Marco Polo Reyes at D, and a big fan favorite James Vick is a C. Yeah, I mean Marco Polo Reyes hits hard. That's really his MO. He goes after it and he's going for a kill shot. James Vick definitely a bit more well-rounded, has a sneaky good submission game. Much taller than Reyes, but he's so damn hittable, and which makes him, I don't know how one can be confident at 4-1 betting on James Vick here just because he's got that big ass head and it's such a big target.
a long ass neck too.
All guys defense.
He's so. And I keep coming back to this, but it would just make it very. I would have a lot of anxiety betting James Vick in this bout. It's a bout he should win because he has way more methods to win this bout. But I mean, we saw him get just his he was just clocked and he was just floored by Peniel Dariush. And I can't get that image out of my head of Vic having no answers in that bout. And Reyes, like I said, hits hard, has a pretty big striking game to get that kind of job done. So I think Reyes could definitely win this bout. He's not my pick. I think James Vick, like I said, more tools. But I mean, I wouldn't play Reyes straight up, but knockout prop. I mean, if you're looking for
get like plus 500 on that.
You're looking for a flyer on this card? Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Brad, I think that's kind of like you like to talk about those round robin props you do. I mean, that seems like it would fit into that kind of that price range that would make sense for you.
I like me a big plus number, but I still don't think I'd take that one. Sean?
I just hope Marco Polo has been working on his clinch and his back take defense because Lloyd Irvin has been teaching James Vick his technique. So
watch his water bottles coming into the cage too.
Lloyd Irvin's the master of the back take.
Master of the roofie slip.
Could be a very bad night for Mr. Marco Polo Reyes that will scar him.
I hear they've been working on this new technique where you put chloroform in the palms of the gloves.
Yeah.
And then when you take the back, you cover the mouth to try and interrupt the breathing, and it works real well. Real well.
God dang.
There's no stopping him once that happens.
6-0 lifetimes on the chloroform use.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll take James Vick, but minus 420 is crazy.
Wes, you got the chloroform rag in this one?
Yeah, Vic wins, and I'm going to look at Vic by sub and see what the number is on that. I think that's probably his most likely path to victory is getting him down and getting a sub. So inside the distance, like minus 140, it's still a little bit too much juice for me. But if I can get a plus number on the sub, I'll probably put a little bit on it.
Yep, that's what I was thinking as well. That's why I said I probably wouldn't play the Marco Polo TKO prop because I'm thinking that Vic subs him and might be able to get a decent number on that, even though he's a minus 400 favorite because they usually give quite a bit of extra value on the sub props. So I always like to look at those when there's a decent path. Next up, middleweight division. Krzysztof Jotko taking on the champ of the world, Dave Branch, middleweight champion, light heavyweight champion. I don't know why he's in this fight facing some screw job like Jotko when he should be getting the Dan Henderson treatment.
Yeah, he should.
Getting the middleweight and light heavyweight title shots back to back. Man, Jay, what's going on here? Why is the UFC screwing Dave Branch?
That's a great question because this is not an easy fight for him at all. I got Jotko at B minus, Davey Branch C plus. This fight really comes down to David Branch's ability to put Jotko on his back and work his top control game. Problem is, Jotko's shown over time that he's really resilient, and he's tough to take down. Saw it in his last fight. He really showed himself well, acquitted himself well in that bout, and he is really a fighter to watch in this middleweight division, and he's surging. I think this is going to be a tough matchup for Dave Branch, who, coming over from World Series of Fighting, 2-belt champion, has had real nice success there, but he's stepping up to the big boys now, and Jotko is, he's on his way up, and Branch isn't going to be able to get him to the ground, and Jotko is going to get the better Branch on the feet, and is going to win this fight. So I like Krzysztof Jotko a good amount in this bout. I'm likely going to be betting in some capacity.
Krzysztof Jotko, linear WSOF middleweight and light heavyweight champion of the world.
Heck yeah.
Sean?
I think this is a close fight. Jotko has definitely looked good, and he's feel like he's been fighting better people compared to what David Branch has had to fight. But Branch kind of makes it a boring fight, and then you kind of never know what's going to happen, especially in Texas. It's for a fight that's likely to go to decision. I think it is. Over 2.5 is fairly high for a middleweight fight. I mean, it's minus 255, but these guys they go to a decision a lot, and I would not want to have money on something that I think is going to be a fairly close fight in Texas. So I'll be seeing if the over 2.5 gets a little bit closer to minus 200, but I will pick Jotko.
Sean, I don't know what you're talking about. Dave Branch does not make fights boring. He is the Violencia master. Finishes in 5 of his last 7 bouts, and only the big cat Clifford Starks and iron-chinned Vinny Magalhaes were able to make it to decision against him.
It's true. It's very true.
I don't appreciate the disrespect. Wesley, moving on to you.
I will say that one of the funnest nights I've ever had was watching Dave Branch lay on Vinny Magalhaes for 25 minutes.
In Vegas.
Horrible fight, but probably one of the best nights of my life. Like,
that was awesome, man.
That
it was fucking
highly entertaining.
It was really, really good. Yeah, to me, this fight just comes down to a guy I think is just man on the come up. I think Jocko's at a good gym now. He's been there for a couple years. He's fighting really good competition, and yeah, if Branch can get it to the ground, that does worry me. Branch gets you to the ground, you're going to probably be on your back for 5 minutes with him just, doing a whole lot of nothing. Texas, it could be a good thing there. We could see fights stood up like they do all the time now when nobody does something for 10 seconds. That's not a good thing for Branch. Branch does work against the cage really good, but in Jocko's fights, man, he's been really good in the clinch and reversing guys on the cage and holding control. So I kind of give him an advantage there too. So yeah, I think this is a fight Jocko should win, but there is, I could see Branch getting a couple takedowns and winning a couple rounds. So I don't know if I can bet Jocko yet. I'd like to see it come down a little bit more. But I do like the over with Sean on there. I'll be parlaying that with some that this has 3 rounds written all over it. Yeah, so pick is Jocko right now and parlay the over with something.
Yeah, I just think this is going to be a super close fight, regardless of how it goes. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Branch is going to get inside, go for takedowns, and that Jocko is so good at preventing takedowns and holding his own in the clinch or reversing guys in the clinch. I really don't think he's going to have the ability to outstrength Dave Branch and just turn his back to the cage. So I think that Branch is going to spend a lot of that time in the so-called control position when they're in that clinch. So give him a little bit of the edge there. Maybe he sneaks a takedown or 2 in over the course of the fight, so give him a little bit of the edge there. And I really don't think this is going to spend too much time at distance. Jocko seems really comfortable letting guys get inside on him, and I think that could be what loses this fight for him. So I'm going to side with Branch ever so slightly, but watching this fight go either way isn't going to shock me. I'm pretty much expecting a split decision no matter who wins. Next up, we're going to the featherweight division again. We got Chaz the Scrapper Skelly against the Midwest Diaz brother, Jason Knight. No longer just Mr. Rubber Guard, Jay. He does actual stuff now.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I got Jason Knight a C, Chaz Kelly a C+. Really interesting fight here. And one that I'm kind of looking forward to because I think this will tell us a lot about the prospects for each of these guys' careers moving forward. Both these guys have been in good form. I'd say Knight's, ascension, in this weight class has been unexpected. Overall, he's had some good wins. Skelly, definitely a bit more seasoned. And I think many saw that he'd be a pretty decent fighter in this division. Really, he's only lost to Darren Elkins and Mirsad Bektic, so that really does tell you a lot about him as a fighter. I like Skelly a bit more in this bout overall, just because, I like his takedown game better. I like his, he can start fights better as well. I guess the real question mark here is conditioning. Can he keep up with Jason Knight's pace, for 3 rounds if it goes that length? And that is a real question mark, and why I'm not going to be betting this, because if it goes long, if Skelly can't take him down, take his back, and submit him, which I think might be kind of hard to do, he's really going to have to sweat that round 3 and survive, because Jason Knight's going to be like a bad man in that 3rd round. So this is definitely a buyer beware situation, and makes it a tough fight to call.
Sean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jay. This could get pretty scary for the backers of Chase Skelly if he doesn't get it done in the first 2 rounds, because his cardio is really rough and it doesn't seem to be improving. It just seems to be that's what it is. Something to look at maybe for this fight is a draw. I don't know. There could be something where either he has a big first round, gets a 10-8, and then he's already gassed, and then Knight takes the next 2, or he takes the first and second, and then maybe he's so done that Knight has a big round 3. I'll have to see what that number is. I might take a tiny little stab on that. For me, Skelly should be able to to take 2 rounds and survive. I'll pick him, but no chance. I would bet him with those cardio issues.
I like where your head's at. Wes?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun fight, and man, just a really hard fight to pick for me. I kind of agree with everything that Sean said. Man, Knight's just a tough bastard, dude, and he just never stops coming. I could see him maybe even getting a finish in the third. It's really, really close to me. I'm going to take Knight because he's plus money. I can't bet my own money on this fight, though. I think it's a total coin flip. This is a 50-50 fight in every way to me. So I'm going to pick Knight. Probably pick him in Top Master, but I can't bet this fight.
I actually really like what Sean said about the draw. I hadn't really considered that possibility too much. I was more thinking, Skelly wins the first 2 rounds with his wrestling. There's danger that he might get stopped in the third, but he is a really tough dude, so I could see it just being a 10-8 type of dominating round for Knight. So plus 5,000 on the draw might be worth a little shot in that one, as I could definitely see that coming true. Also, taking a look at what Knight might be in round 3 would be a good option. But I do think that if I had to make a pick, it would probably be Skelly to pull out, 29-28 type of decision, holding up after he wins the first 2 rounds. Next up, we are on the prelim main event. Man, this should be like an FS1 main event, 25 minutes, that whole deal. But we get it on FX instead for 3 rounds. We got Eddie Alvarez, former lightweight champ, against Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Jay?
Yeah, before I get to this one, can you guys guess what the combined records of Jason Knight and Chaz Skelly is?
34-4.
That's pretty wild, right? I mean, never would have thought that.
I just looked at it a little bit ago, so I kind of
fucking each 17-2. I mean, my goodness, wow.
Yeah. We're gonna see more and more of that in MMA as it continues to evolve.
No, totally. I get it. I'm for it. Yeah, so this is a really good fight. Brad's right. It's a barn burner. Could certainly headline, fight night card without a doubt. I got Alvarez an A-, Dustin Poirier a B. Both these guys, like to put on a show. Certainly, like to get in striking matchups, have been known to get in brawls. These guys are fighters. And that's why I think this fight's really exciting. You look around mixed martial arts, sometimes you're like, oh, that dude's a wrestler. Or that dude's, he's a submission artist. That's what he does. He doesn't want to, get bloody or, get his feet wet. You know what I mean? But these two guys,
get my feet wet before a fight either. They'd be slippery.
That'd be hard on that canvas. But these two guys are fighters, are people's fighters, and that's why this is going to be a really cool fight for as long as it goes. The reason why I favor Eddie Alvarez though is he's just so much more durable than Dustin is. Even at an older age and getting beat in his last fight soundly by Conor McGregor. I think that's kind of reduced his price a bit here. Alvarez definitely got too mixed up, got too emotional in that bout, and it cost him dearly. She got a payday, I guess, or somewhat of a payday, but ultimately it was too big of a moment for him. This is he's not going to have the media attention in this bout, and he's going to be able to get back to the Eddie Alvarez old, where he's going to get in a brawl or situations, and this is where he's at his best. While on the other hand, Dustin's a fighter who he likes those kind of moments, but every time he rises up to face someone of real quality in competition, he struggles mightily, and he loses. That's what Dustin does. He's never been able to get over the hump and get that really key win to his career. And I think that's going to happen again. I think they're going to get it's going to be a close fight, and then Alvarez is going to pop him, and he's going to hurt Dustin, and he's going to finish him. So I'm going to say Eddie Alvarez, mid-second round KO.
Sean?
I don't think many of us were surprised when Alvarez got lit up by Conor. I definitely wasn't. It was just kind of a bad stylistic matchup for Eddie, and I didn't like the way he was coming into the fight. So I kind of agree with Jay that this line is a bit different just because people are reacting to that knockout. It wasn't that long ago that Dustin Ortiz got absolutely slept by Michael Johnson, and
Poirier
got slept by Michael Johnson. He didn't look great against Jim Miller. The only thing you worry about it with Eddie Alvarez is after a knockout and beating like that, is he going to be coming back like the old Eddie Alvarez? And he's been in so many wars, and he is getting up there in age, and his fight age is way, way longer than what his real age is. So that's definitely a bit worrisome. If the price keeps going up on Eddie Alvarez, I'm gonna have to take him because I think he can win a striking fight, and I think he can also take down Poirier if he really needs to. So my pick is Eddie Alvarez, and he's getting close to a bet.
Wes?
Yeah, I think Eddie's got just a couple. He can win this fight, in a brawl. I think he can absolutely win this fight wrestling. Kind of how he did Melendez. Poirier wouldn't have too much of an answer for that. Poirier could win this fight if he kind of kept distance, I think, and struck. But that's usually not how his fights end up, and neither are Alvarez's. They both tend to end up in brawls, and I think that's what's going to happen here. And like Jay said, like every time Poirier's been to that moment of a big fight, he's failed, and it's mainly that his chin has failed him every single time that he's been there. He's gotten knocked out. We all saw him get better, his chin, talking about his chin moving up weight, not cutting that weight, but still, when he got to Michael Johnson again, that big, moment, it happened again. So, this is going to turn into a firefight eventually, and Poirier is not going to win a firefight with Eddie Alvarez. So, I'm all over plus money here on Eddie Alvarez. I think this is another case of what happened with all those numbers after Conor knocked him out. I mean, he just started getting disrespected. I mean, you were seeing prices on auto like you never seen before. I think that happened here. There's no way Alvarez would be an underdog to Dustin Poirier if he didn't just get knocked out by McGregor. And I think that knockout was more of Eddie getting hyped up and doing some shit that, he did the perfect thing to get fucked up in that fight. Just everything you could do to get knocked out by Conor, he put himself right there. So I think he gets over that pretty fast. He's a veteran, and I think he knocks out Poirier. So I'm going to bet him as an underdog and look at Eddie by knockout.
Since Eddie's come into the UFC, hasn't been the same sort of brawling fighter that he used to be. He's more played this, he's tried to draw his opponent in and play a heavy counterpunching game where, he's not being real slick and picking guys off. He's instead, trying to draw them in and throw a big right hand. And it worked against Rafael dos Anjos. It didn't work against Conor McGregor because Conor McGregor's a much better striker. And honestly, I think Poirier is a significantly more technical and talented striker than Alvarez. So if he tries to play that same sort of game in this fight, I think that he could get lit up again. So if he goes back to the brawling style, obviously that gives him a better chance. The issue is, how durable is he still going to be at this point? He's 33. The wars that he had with Joachim Hansen and Tatsuya Kawajiri, those were like a decade ago now. Like, that's crazy. This guy has been getting in wars forever. It's interesting to see after his chin finally got cracked in the way it did, if he's going to be able to come back. So maybe I'm just falling into the trap that people are, that the odds makers are wanting us to fall into here, but I think that Poirier is going to be able to get it done. I think he's got more left in the tank. I don't think Alvarez has a lot of confidence at this point that he's going to be able to rebound and make it back to the title, given how soundly he got beaten. So I think Poirier is going to have a little bit more motivation, and I think he's going to pull off the win here. So I like the Diamond. I like Screech. Moving up to the main card, pay-per-view. Kicking it off in the flyweight division, we have Henry the Judo, the wrestling champ, taking on Sergio Pettis. Jay?
I got Henry Cejudo an A, Sergio Pettis a B-. I agree with this line is ballooned for Cejudo, and I think it's justified. I really do. If you look at the statistics, it's definitely going to be a closer fight than seem the odds to be. But Cejudo's just fought a much higher level of competition. He's back to back fought Joseph Benavidez and Demetrius Johnson, the two best fighters in this division. And you can make an argument that he won that fight against Benavidez. He acquitted himself very well in that bout and proves he's right there with him, in that really top echelon, quality of fighter, at flyweight. Sergio Pettis he's made improvements, but his downfall is still his ability to defend takedowns. He's put on his back too much in his fights. He's a pretty adept striker, really intelligent striker, but he tires in fights and he struggles to stay on his feet, and he can definitely give away minutes, and minutes lead to rounds in this case. And in a 3-round fight, it's going to be very, very hard for him to win 2 rounds. I really don't see it. That's a really tall order for him against an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. So, like Henry Cejudo here, he wins this bout.
Sean?
Yeah, like Jay said, I think this number is pretty justified. Pettis has been getting better after I think he was kind of thrown in there way too early in his career, but these guys are just completely different levels. Cejudo really impressed me. I was big on Benavidez in that fight, and I thought I got fairly lucky. It was definitely a close fight. I think it was a coin flip, but Cejudo showed a lot of growth, I think, in fighting a guy in Joe Benavidez, who's easily the second best flyweight in the world. Maybe Horiguchi, but we can't count him anymore because he doesn't fight in the UFC.
He fights in the greatest sports entertainment promotion in the world.
Sports entertainment, love it.
Yep.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I like Cejudo to win. I'm not going to parlay him at minus 440. I definitely should have grabbed him when he was like minus 265. I might actually sprinkle on him by TKO. I know he hasn't shown anything really that much in his UFC career for power, but he does have that boxing, and we have seen that Sergio Pettis chin before, so it's plus 389. It's nothing too huge, but maybe worth a little stab to get some action on the fight.
Wes?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way as well. I think Sergio is really, really talented. Still so young too in the sport, but it's just come to the point to where the division just doesn't have enough guys. And Sergio, he wins 3-4 fights against, pretty good guys, and you got to move him up and give him a guy like this. But he's fighting a grown ass man here in Cejudo. I can't see how he deals with just everything that Cejudo's going to bring here outside of the wrestling. I mean, we've seen Cejudo's boxing. It's really, really good now. I was same as Sean. I was on Benavidez pretty big, and I got a gift. I mean, Benavidez lost that fight. Cejudo looked as good as he ever has in that fight. Yeah, I just think they're throwing Pettis in the deep end here, and it's just going to be a little bit too much. He's probably going to spend a lot of this fight up against the cage, getting pounded on and on his back. Yeah, I don't know about a finish. That's a really good number though to look at. But I can't lay 400 here. But the pick is definitely Cejudo.
Yeah, as far as the matchup goes, I think you have to favor Cejudo. The problem with him is that he's a guy that will rise or fall to a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be shocked to see him come out and miss weight for this fight and just not look motivated at all because he doesn't think that Sergio Pettis is a challenge. I think if he was getting a rematch against Joe Benavidez or something like that, we'd probably see an even better Cejudo than we did in his last fight. But mentally, he's not weak mentally. He's just not the most focused guy in the world. And I think we've heard that, you know, from a lot of people in a lot of different situations, whether it be his wrestling career or his MMA career, you know, down in Legacy. Did I say NBA? Sorry, I'm watching the NBA game. His MMA career in Legacy or anything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how focused he is in this fight, and that's really going to be the key to the fights. So I'm not playing Pettis, but I'm going to lay off Cejudo as well, just because I'm really not sure how motivated he is going to be for a guy that's, you know, just inside the top 15, top 10 at the flyweight division. Next up, featherweight division, we got Frankie the Answer Edgar. That was kind of Boston, but whatever. I can't do a New York accent. Maybe Jay can do one. Against another one of the Mexicans, Yair Rodriguez. Jay?
Yeah, this is an intriguing fight. I mean, pretty much the whole pay-per-view card, you know, the 5 fights, you know, there's something to watch for in every one of those fights, and it's, you know, top to bottom, the best pay-per-view in a long time. You know, outside of, you know, last summer's blockbuster or, you know, pay-per-view. I got Edgar an A+, Yair Rodriguez a B. You know, good fight, and a real step up in competition for Yair Rodriguez. This is his sink or swim moment, and if he can contend, and win this fight, he moves into literally catapults up to contention, for a championship. And for Edgar, it's really about, you know, just maintaining his status. I mean, the motivation, I guess, isn't tremendous, but, you know, Frankie's shown in his career that he pretty much comes out for any one of his fights, no matter who the opponent is. He doesn't really have flat performances per se. It's just not in his DNA. And it's going to be tough to see Rodriguez win this fight. I mean, he's going to have to keep this fight standing and, you know, land those spinning kicks, you know, to have effect. Frankie's, you know, more of a slow and steady fighter. And his takedowns are awesome. Even for a guy who's undersized for the weight class. I think he's going to be able to take down Rodriguez a few times. And when he does, he's going to be able to hold him down. And if not, I mean, he can still, you know, jab away, you know, land, pick and pop and move. He's got to watch out for some spinning head kick. But he's so resilient, it's so hard to finish. I like Frankie Edgar here at this price. It is really low. It's basically a pick 'em at this point, for a much more experienced, and all around better fighter.
Sean?
I think this line is insane.
Yep.
Frankie Edgar has shown that he's the best featherweight in the world, not named Jose Aldo.
Or Jose Aldo.
Yeah, whatever.
Or Conor McGregor.
He's not a featherweight.
That's fair. I was gonna say that, but I wanted to hear you say it.
Frankie has shown time and time again that he's unreal. I mean, he's still there. I know he's getting up there in age. And if we look at Yair Rodriguez, I mean, he is a prospect. He is skilled. He could be a title holder one day. I just don't think he's as close as what a lot of people think and what this line is saying. This guy went to a split decision with Alex Caceres like 8 months ago. And now he's fighting Frankie Edgar. I know it's like a different style, but that's that's just a completely different level. I think Yair's going to get taken down, and Frankie's going to smash him on the ground. I just don't get it. I'll gladly take, I think I grabbed it at minus 140. I will take that any day of the week. If Yair comes out, I mean, he does have the right coach to kind of lift him to that level. If he does it and proves me wrong, then congrats to him. But nothing in my mind has shown that he should be the price he is against an all-time great.
He's got the same coach that Cub Swanson had against Frankie Edgar, right?
Yeah, but
that went well.
Yeah,
Wes?
true.
Yeah, I'm just kind of blown away by where this line is at, honestly. I mean, I totally get the love for Yair. I really do. I think he's a really good prospect. But I would probably be 10 times shocked if he not, and he's probably going to have to knock Frankie out, I think, to win this fight. I don't see him taking 3 rounds. I'd be just 10 times more shocked if he knocked out Frankie than Whitaker knocking out Jacare. Like, it would totally shock me here. He went like split decision with Charles Rosa, 3 rounds with Daniel Hooker, 5 rounds with Caceres, and he's gonna knock out Frankie Edgar. I mean, nothing's shown me here lately that Frankie's chin is even starting to deteriorate a little bit. I mean, the guy's still all there from what I can see. He's not lost a step. Like Jay said, this isn't going to be a letdown fight for Frankie or anything. That dude shows up to work every single time. I'm kind of shocked that you can get one of the 2 or 3 best featherweights at minus 130 against a young prospect. If the small chance happens that Yair catches a head kick on Frankie, then I'll pay for it. That's fine. I'll take that chance every day of the week. Give me Frankie Edgar here, and I'm going to be on Frankie pretty big. So if it happens, it's going to hurt. But I don't see it. Not at this point of their career. So Frankie big for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't get it. I don't know. Other than thinking that Yair maybe in the future is going to be a great fighter, and somehow parlaying that into the thought that right now he's a great fighter capable of defeating the second best featherweight in the world, maybe third best depending on your thoughts on Max Holloway. I don't understand how you could still be betting Yair Rodriguez at plus 110 and bring
it's not even
down.
Huge plus money.
Yeah, like, if you had faith in Yair and you thought that he was, the next big thing at featherweight and all that, maybe hit the opener at plus 180. It immediately moved down to plus 150, and then it's continued moving down since then. I don't get it. Like, I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if he's able to knock out Frankie Edgar, because he's not a big finisher. Yeah, he stopped BJ Penn, but that's because BJ Penn was standing in front of him getting kicked in the head 17 million times. Like, I could stop BJ Penn if he was going to do that, too. So, I don't think he's going to stop Frankie Edgar. And unless your name is Jose Aldo, you're not a good enough technician to win rounds off of Frankie Edgar. I believe that Jeremy Stevens knocked him down in their fight, and he still didn't win that round on 2 judges' scorecards. There's no possible way that Yair Rodriguez has as much power as Jeremy Stevens to put Frankie Edgar on his ass. And if he doesn't do that, he's not going to win rounds. It's just not going to happen. Frankie's going to mix it up too well. He's going to win every round of this fight. And I'm getting him at minus 130, and I'm shocked by that. I played him at minus 140 already. I'm going to play him again at minus 130. I'm going to have probably a ton of money invested on Frankie Edgar because I've already got a lot. And, if the line doesn't move, it's just going to keep going in there. So, yeah, Frankie is going to win this fight. And Frankie Edgar is the 5dimes.eu consensus bet of the week. We got it at -30. It's still available at -30 or -130 right now at 5dimes.eu. So head over there. It's not even reduced lines. Reduced lines aren't even on the board yet. So take a look at that and see what you can get. Next up, we are moving to the welterweight division. This should be a number one contenders match between Demian Maia, who's really already the number one contender, and Jorge Masvidal. Jay?
Yeah, I got Maia an A, Jorge Masvidal an A-. The more I think about this fight, the more I'd be nervous for Demian Maia. I mean, I just, after seeing his partner in crime, in submission crime, Jacare, go by the wayside by getting torched on the feet by a guy he couldn't control on the ground. It makes me wonder if that's going to happen here. I mean, Masvidal's had his moments of inactivity on the feet, but and that's kind of why I don't rate him higher. But of the top caliber guys besides Tyron Woodley, I mean, I think his takedown defense is probably the best. And he's so multi-talented and just an array of skills. I think he could give Demian Maia fits. So I'm leaning towards Jorge Masvidal actually to win this bout over the really aging Demian Maia. And I just, unfortunately for Maia, I think this kind of comes down to he's waited so long for a title opportunity that he's going to get almost all the way there, and the one fight before he's actually going to get that opportunity, he's going to falter, and then he's never going to see that title opportunity come again.
Sean?
In the past, I like Jorge Masvidal as a fighter. I know he doesn't, he grinds people the wrong way sometimes, but I love the dude. I can't remember the last time I didn't bet on him, and that's even including his losses to Larkin and Henderson and Iaquinta. But I think this fight is a bit different. In his last little streak against Pearson, Ellenberger, and Cerrone, none of those guys, all those guys were content with striking with him. And Masvidal has shown in the past that he can be taken down. He does have a pretty good guard, but that doesn't matter against Demian Maia. And I think Demian Maia is going to get him down. And I think he might even snatch a sub. I know Masvidal is very, very hard to sub. He's got very good sub defense, but Maia's just otherworldly. Even if he doesn't, I still think he can control him for a full round and probably get another takedown in the second. Like, as soon as Maia gets you down, I don't think he will be able to get up. Maia's shown that even if he's not getting subs, he will smother you, and it's going to be bad. There is that issue with his age and stuff like that, but he has not been getting hit in his last fights, and that's a good for an old man with a chin that is somewhat sketchy. And my money's going to be on Demian Maia. I think that takedown he's going to get that takedown, and he is just one of the best on top.
Wes?
Yeah, when this fight was first announced, I was just Demian Maia. That was my pick immediately. Thought about it for a while, and I'm kind of, thinking more about Masvidal and his paths and kind of flipping and flopping. But when it comes down to it, it's exactly like Sean said. We've seen Masvidal, he's been susceptible to takedowns. I know he's got really good takedown defense. It's improved. Great clinch game. But he is susceptible to that takedown every now and then. And all it takes is one with Maia. And you're pretty much, I think, banking on Jorge keeping this up and piecing him up. I'm just going to bank on that Maia gets that takedown. His wrestling has become pretty good. like Sean said, once he gets that takedown, he doesn't stop working. Even if he's not submitting you, he's constantly working. And I could see that slowing Jorge down. Jorge's had some cardio problems in the past as well. So, at plus money, man, I'm going to take Maia. He's also my year-end pick to be champ at this weight class, so almost got to take him in this fight. So, Damian Maia for me, and I'll probably throw a little bet on him at plus money.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as Wes. You know, I also picked Maia last year and this year to be the champion at the end of the year, and I can understand why people wouldn't be picking him here and would think that Jorge Masvidal has a shot. Obviously, he's the more skilled striker in this fight. But I just think that that's not going to matter. You know, Masvidal has those moments where he's too patient, and I think as soon as you have one of those moments against Maia, he's inside on you, and he's going to be able to get you to the ground and just dominate. So, even though Masvidal has shown good submission defense in the past, this is also the same guy that I think it was Michael Chiesa had like a fully locked in Darce choke against him. If Maia gets you in that position, you're not surviving. So I think that Maia is going to be able to get it to the ground. I think he is going to be able to stop Jorge Masvidal, and I think he's finally going to get the title shot that shot in a long time ago. So Demian Maia is the pick for me, and probably going to have a little bet on him as well. Next up, we've got the first of two title fights. This one's in the strawweight division as Joanna Jędrzejczyk takes on Jessica Andrade. Jay?
Yeah, I got Andrade an A-, Joanna an A+. This is an exciting fight because Andrade is one of the fighters who's willing to throw punch for punch with Joanna. And it makes it interesting because I think Jessica Andrade has the biggest power in this weight class, and she'll come forward like a John Lineker and engage Joanna while everyone else tries to hide and doesn't want to strike with Joanna. So this is really intriguing. The one thing I noticed about Jessica Andrade, like in her last fight, she is hittable. She will throw a ton though, and puts her opponents on the back foot, but she is hittable and she can slow down a bit. And one thing about Joanna is what we've seen is that she can certainly pick it up, and over 5 rounds she's a real bear to deal with. She's very difficult to beat because she's got great conditioning and she's able to hold pace for a long time. Her accuracy is also going to come into play here against Jessica Andrade. So we can see Andrade get a takedown early in this fight potentially as well. She's certainly capable in the grappling, but I think just that muscle mass that she has is going to slow her down. It could be like the Claudia fight where Andrade, does well early. You can get a chance to bet Joanna maybe even plus money in this fight, or just, maybe even money. And then you play Joanna, and you have a better, you can just make you just be able to win more money than you would if you bet her straight up beforehand. So that's my take on this one. Is look at Joanna after the first round, maybe even after the second round, you'll have a better chance to matriculate profit than a pre-match wager.
Matriculation.
A pre-fight wager. Sorry,
Sean.
At the start of the year, my pick for the champ at the end of the year for this weight class was Jessica Andrade. I thought when they finally matched up that Andrade would be a decent sized dog, and she then wasn't when the odds were released. And actually, she went to the favorite for a tiny bit before people bet Joanna. I do like that this fight is to not go to decision, actually. I think Andrade knows that she has to get her early, and she's going to come out looking like a warlord and throwing hooks and things like that. And Joanna in the past couple fights has kind of shown that she's a little bit susceptible to some punches. She got hit and maybe even rocked a bit. And then there's this talk about her retiring soon, so that's kind of sketchy. And then if Andrade doesn't get her, I think Joanna takes over just like she did against Claudia, and I don't think Andrade can take a beating like Claudia can. And I think Joanna will get a finish in probably the 4th round. But yeah, I got a fairly decent-sized bet on Fight Doesn't Go the Distance at plus 100.
Wesley?
Boy, getting them Curry lines again.
I know, right? Right after I bet, like literally right after I bet it, probably about half an hour after it, like went way higher, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I tend to agree with a lot of what Jay said on this fight. Man, Andrade does have that power. We've seen JJ, I wouldn't say hurt her, but she's been rocked a couple times. But man, if Andrade doesn't get her out of there in the first, or halfway in the second or so, man, she slows a lot. I can see that happening here. I think JJ's chin will hold up just enough, and she's so much better striking and stuff. That once Andrade tires, it's going to get ugly. She's got to make it out of that first round and a half, though. That power is definitely legit for this weight class, but I'm going to bank on JJ surviving that round and a half, and turns it on late. I think Jay's point about the live betting, I could see Andrade maybe getting a takedown in the first round and riding that round out, or even just winning it on the feet. Then you get a decent number on JJ. I think Sean's right too. With Fight Doesn't Go the Distance either which way. If Andrade catches her, finishes the fight, or she doesn't, I think JJ does take over. 4th or 5th round, it's going to get ugly for Andrade. So, yeah, those are two pretty good angles. I'm going to pick JJ. I was hoping the line would come back down a little bit more for me to bet it, but would look live, like Jay said, and then I might sprinkle on that Fight Inside the Distance as well. I think it's plus 130 now. I think that's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, for me, I do think this is going to be a competitive fight early, and if you are betting Andrade, I think you have to either take her inside the distance, which is like plus 290, I think, or TKO's around plus 450. There's an outside shot she gets a sub, because she does have a good guillotine, but I think Joanna's shown that she's, aware enough and good enough, even if she's a little bit rocked, that she can defend those positions and end up all right. So I think if you're playing Andrade, you have to look at that inside the distance or the TKO line. But I don't know. I think that Joanna's going to be able to survive that early storm, and then it's going to be the technical disparity, and that's what's going to decide this fight. Once you get into round 3, 4, 5, we've seen what Joanna can do in those rounds. And yeah, Jessica Andrade beat Angela Hill in the 3rd round and looked all right in that fight. She didn't slow down too much. But Joanna's just a completely different beast. She's going to be able to offer so much more early on than Hill did that I'm just not sure that Andrade is going to have any gas left to keep going in this fight. So I am leaning towards a late stoppage for Joanna, but at the same time, we've kind of thought she's going to stop all of her opponents, except for Claudia in her recent fights, and she's gone to a lot of decisions. So wouldn't be shocked to see her pull out a decision again here either, but the pick for me is going to be Joanna. Oh. Finally, we have the main event of the evening, heavyweight title fight. It's a rematch. We got Stipe defending his belt against a man who defeated him a couple years ago, JDF.
Stipe. Yeah, I got.
Oppa.
Yeah, this is a really tough fight to call. I got Stipe Junior Dos Santos an A minus, and it's really more because of Dos Santos. I'm not sure he's ever really gonna be able to recover from all those wars that he had. One with Stipe, and then the multiple ones he had with Cain Velasquez.
I feel like the ones with Cain weren't wars so much as just like carpet bombings.
Yeah, like the ones that feel like they could take 10 years off somebody's life potentially. Stipe hasn't had to go through all that, and considering how close this fight was the first time, and it was Stipe's first big fight, and he won the first 2 rounds. It makes you think that he could even, he could win another one of these rounds, and he wins a 5-round fight over JDS. I'm a little concerned about how his chin, he was nearly finished by Alistair Overeem, and it became too much of a firefight. But he hasn't had to go through a lot of wear and tear his last few fights. With Verdum and with Overeem, and he should be fresh. His body really shouldn't have that kind of wear and tear that Junior Dos Santos has. So, I guess I kind of look for Stipe to win, but I think Dos Santos in general is a more talented striker than Stipe, and his ground game in terms of even submission ability, even though it's not going to go there, I think is better than Stipe. Stipe does have a little bit of grappling, but I think Dos Santos is definitely more technical, but I like Stipe's output, and I think that could be the difference here. So I'm gonna side with the American continuing his reign as champion until he has to face Wes's favorite fighter,
the Hog.
The Hog.
Sean, what you got?
I don't really have a good read on this fight. If either of these guys was decent plus money, I kind of missed the boat on JDS at plus 150. But I haven't really. Neither of them has given me too much confidence in their last couple fights. Stipe has won 4 in a row, so that probably should give me more confidence. But like Jay said, he got cracked in that Overeem fight, and his chin is sketchy, I think. It's hard to know at heavyweight. These guys are so big, they have so much power. You just get hit wrong, you could drop. That's kind of the way it goes. JDS looked okay against Ben Rothwell. I think everybody was surprised how good he looked, but I think everybody thought it was better because of how he got knocked out in Overeem, and everybody thought he was done. There are some pictures going around. He looks in pretty unreal shape, so that's a good sign. But that still doesn't tell you that he's going to throw a lot of strikes and be back to his normal self. Like Jay said, I don't know if he's ever going to get back to that normal self, because I think Cain Velasquez beat it out of him. I will pick Stipe. He definitely has some momentum on his side. I believe that he thinks that he won that fight. I thought it was a very, very close fight, the last one. So yeah, I'll pick Stipe, but no bet for me. Which is usually the case with heavyweights, unless I see a big advantage.
Wes?
Yeah, if this was all down to straight up skills and stuff, I would be all over JDS. His striking, his boxing is some of the best that we've seen in the heavyweight division, but that dude's not coming back. I don't understand how everybody. I see a lot of people, just kind of saying he's back, he's going to be the heavyweight champ and stuff. It's heavyweight MMA. It could happen. He could catch Stipe, but don't tell me that he's back to JDS, because that's never going to happen. I don't get all the love on JDS now, coming off of beating Rothwell, who I think is a pretty shitty fighter myself. I never got the Rothwell love. I think he's not too overly skilled whatsoever.
Big goofy dude.
Yeah, and he went 5 rounds with Rothwell. But man, it's heavyweight MMA. Yes, he could catch that shot on Stipe, but I don't see it, man. Stipe's, he's at his peak now. I think the dude's really skilled. Think he's definitely the better wrestler here. If he wants to get this against the cage and stuff, I think he dominates in that realm. He doesn't want to sit at distance and box with JDS, of course, but, I would hope he's smarter than that and has a better game plan than that. If Stipe fights smart and fights to strength, I think he wins this fight. I'll be betting Stipe. I don't get the JDS's back love. Off of, watching him, go 5 with Rothwell. I just don't understand that at all. I like Stipe quite a bit in this fight. I think he gets it done. A finish somewhere in the second or third round. He gets JDS out of there.
I have a question for you guys.
What's up?
Even if JDS does land a big punch, when was the last time he changed a fight with one punch?
When he knocked out Kane?
Yeah, Kane. Back in, 2011?
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
that's it.
He beat Mir, but that was just like a beat down. It wasn't a one-punch thing. He
Same
beat
with Tom.
Rothwell, but, same sort of thing, and it wasn't even a beat down. So, it's been a long time since he's hit somebody with one punch. And,
one hitter. Yeah.
And really changed a fight. So, you've got Stipe, who just faced Overeem, who took that one big shot, was able to recover very quickly, Overeem should have gone for, more punches instead of going for a guillotine, but Stipe still bounced back and won the fight within that round. So, I think even if JDS lands here, I'm not convinced that he's going to be able to hurt Stipe or put him out. I think overall Stipe's volume is just absolutely incredible right now for a heavyweight. Maybe not quite that prime Kane level, but he's about the closest thing we've got to that. So I think he's going to be able to put the volume on JDS, and that's going to basically carry him to victory. We've seen that JDS is super tough. Maybe he's not as durable as he once was, and Stipe's able to stop him, but I lean more towards a 4-1 type of fight for Stipe to win and retain his belt. And I think he's only like the fourth or fifth heavyweight to actually have more than one title defense if he actually defends his belt here. So kind of crazy. But
he needs some respect if he beats JDS here.
Yeah,
because he's a really, really skilled heavyweight. I don't think people appreciate the skills he has at heavyweight. I mean, and you should see it with all the shitty heavyweights that we have in this sport. He should jump off the page. You know what I'm saying? Like, the dude's really, really good.
It's just he doesn't have that like one elite thing that he does.
Yeah,
he's a very good boxer. He's a really good wrestler, but JDS, when he was at his best, was an elite boxer. Overeem's that elite striker. Kane's sort of like, he's got that cardio, and my dog's whining in the background because he wants my other dog
it's
to
go
play
time.
with him. But yeah, Stipe doesn't have that one thing that you can point to and be like, that's his thing, even though I kind of think we're getting to the point where it's his boxing, but then you see him kind of get clipped by Overeem or something like that. So it's weird, but eventually he is going to start getting respect, and I think that kind of starts when he wins this fight. So I've got Stipe winning. Haven't bet him yet, but basically the pick 'em price, I do like him in this fight. So Stipe's the pick for me. Probably going to be a bet, and yeah. That does it for UFC 211. You can hear him just going in the background.
Cujo.
But our UFC 211 breakdown is done finally, and I don't.
It's a
think
good card to come back to, though.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have a card or a show next week because. We've got a little break, a 1-week break before the Gustafsson Teixeira card. Yep. And yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks for that. So I'm going to get out of here before my dog drives me crazy.